Welcome to NMH at 1, where we inform you on the news making waves in Namibia and beyond, all through the lunch hour.
Coming up in today's broadcast, LPM claps back after Prime Minister remarked that LPM-governed regions are the worst in service delivery. Decline of water in the Kavango River causes illegal crossing between Namibia and Angola. World population reaches 8 billion people. These stories, economic news, sports updates, and international headlines coming your way, read to you by Glenn Rashipura and Aina Kweyo.
Water in the Kavango region is currently subsiding, a situation which has led to both Namibians and Angolan nationals crossing the two countries illegally. Apart from the illegal crossing, the porous border for decades has led to smuggling of counterfeit goods. The country is also deprived of revenue as people are not making use of the gazetted borders. Kavango East Police Acting Regional Commander Deputy Commissioner Vilho Kalwenya said that the people has taken note of the water in the river that has subsided. However, regular police patrols are being conducted to deal with the illegal crossing and smuggling of goods between the two countries.
In another update, the Earth now has 8 billion people living on it, according to a report by the United Nations. Interestingly, the next billion people are projected to come from only 8 countries: Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, and Tanzania. The projection is revealed in the UN's World Population Prospect 2022 report, which also shows that India is on course to surpass China as the world's most populous country in 2023. Meanwhile, according to a Bloomberg report, half of the population still lives in just 7 countries: China, India, the US, Indonesia, Pakistan, Nigeria, and Brazil. The United Nations called the 8 billion mark as a historic milestone for humanity, noting this unprecedented growth is due to the gradual increase in human lifespan owing to improvements in public health, nutrition, personal hygiene, and medicine. The UN also emphasized that though there was a big surge in the second half of the 20th century, population growth may now begin to slow. The global life expectancy is 72.8 years as of 2019, an increase of nearly 9 years since 1990. Current projections believe the life expectancy could be 77.2 years by 2050. To put this into perspective, here's a compilation of some of the most populous countries in Africa and the effects that overpopulation could have on these areas and on the planet.
Remember to engage us on social media as we continue to bring you pertinent news and events as they occur. Visual news coming up after the break.
Flex is your health and fitness show that focuses on the health of the mind, body, and spirit. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
Getting into our visual news segment, the Landless People's Movement leader Bernardo Swartboy yesterday clapped back at Prime Minister Sarah Amadila, saying she should do introspection into her own growth and success. This comes after Kukongwela Amadila said LPM-governed regions are the worst regions when it comes to service delivery. Swartboy lamented that their partner is a child of yesterday, trying to clean up a mess that SWAPO made. Elizabeth Joseph was there.
Emphasis on a party in respect of failures that has just governed for 1 year and 11 months. We are pushing hard and pushing forward, cleaning up SWAPO mess everywhere where we are governing, reshaping institutions and the culture that was created over 32 years of entitlement, of corruption, of laziness, of nepotism, of no performance, no accountability, and when integrity does not govern from the HR departments to the finance departments to the work ethos of councillors and of chief executive office. But I know these people don't have a clue about integrity, because if they did, they would not have absconded from parliament sessions, as they have done for 2 months. And they would have stayed at parliament to give attention to the issues of the nation instead of focusing on a 3-horse presidential race that includes their party only. Denying Namibians work at the National Assembly. And only when opposition parties began to walk out did the media start to write in criticizing the opposition parties for not staying at parliament to give it a quorum. But for 2 months, we have had press conferences here. We have written letters and said, SWAPO MPs are absent. Prime Minister is absent. Deputy Prime Minister is absent. We have been on record. No media house started to write about it. Only when opposition parties began to walk out, and therefore that a quorum was now lacking, did the media start to pick it up, but as against opposition parties.
A National Pride Program regional authorities engagement took place recently at the Multi-Purpose Youth Center in Cape Manshop. Pea Mushelenga, the ICT Minister, addressed those in attendance. Monique Adams filed this report.
You are going to be in jail. So we are talking about national pride. There is no national pride in being in jail, having committed crime. There is no national pride being in jail because you are involved in domestic violence. You cannot pride yourself if you are a wife beater, if you come and bully children at home, or if you are a husband beater. You can only pride yourself if what you are doing is positive in the eyes of the Namibian country. If you are a sportsman or woman, when you are there outside performing, like we have the Frank Friedrichs, the Christine Bomas of this world, when they are there running and you sit behind your television, you as a Namibian, you feel as if you are also participating in that sport. As they are running there, you also start making movements of your body, feeling that a Namibian is there. That's what we call national pride, because they are carrying the Namibian flag and they are promoting the Namibian name. I have traveled to more than 60 countries in the world. Wherever you go, you say, you come from which country in Namibia? Oh, the country of Frank Friedrichs, or the country of Christine Boma. That is what national pride is all about. You will have national pride when you are protecting the environment of Namibia. That's why we sing in our national anthem, contrasting beautiful Namibia, because of the natural vegetation that we have in a country. Now, if you are destroying the environment, you cannot be proud of that. There will be no national pride for a destructive environment, for soil erosion, for air pollution, and so forth. When we talk about nationhood and we talk about unity, we should put meanings to the words that we are singing, that national anthem. Do not talk about or do not sing about the national anthem singing about unity when you are involved in tribalism, ethnicity, divisive tendency among the Namibian communities. Because that is not what unity is all about. Do not pay lip service to your national anthem because it's a very precious Namibian anthem talking about the blood of the people that have spilled for us to be free and independent and enjoy the fruits of independence today. You can not talk about nationhood, building a nation when you discriminate people on the basis of color. These are remnants of the apartheid.
The newspaper review is coming up right after the break. Stay with us.
The My.NA Cars Show provides viewers with the best in-class cars content, engaging interviews, as well as a showcase of the latest cars-related news, products, and services. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact My.NA at synergy.com.na. My.NA Cars, more than just a ride.
You're still watching NMH at 1. Let's take a look at our newspaper review. Now, the High Court decision was wrong and must be corrected. These were the words of Prosecutor Ed Morandetse yesterday in the Supreme Court during a state appeal against a High Court decision to grant Fish Road accused Ricardo Gustavo bail. This is reported by the Namibian Sun, which adds that the application was heard by a full bench in the Supreme Court in Windhoek. Morandetse claimed that the state has a very strong case against Gustavo and that even during his bail application, he could not answer to the various documents the state will rely on in its case. Now, an announcement that park entry fees will be introduced at June 7 in the Dorop National Park as from the 1st December has been met with mixed feelings. The implementation of the entry fees allows upgrades to infrastructure at June 7. Tourism Ministry spokesperson Romeo Muyunda said the ministry, with co-funding from the Game Products Trust Fund, is renovating existing ablution facilities and constructing new ones.
Now moving over to our next story, Afrikaans daily newspaper Republican reports that the threshold of companies has been lowered from any business employing 25 or more employees to any business with 10 or more employees. The Labour Minister lowered the threshold for companies that must comply with the regulations of the Employment Equity Act in September without much fanfare. The Institute of Public Policy Research and Transparency International along with several other advocacy groups called the Icelandic fishing giant Samerji, implicated in the multi-million-dollar fish road corruption scandal, to begin a process of compensation and remediation. They also insist that the human rights and economic impacts of Samerji's Namibia operations be evaluated.
The German daily newspaper Allgemeine Zeitung reports that the Strzelecki murderers have been sentenced 33 years behind bars. Third perpetrator still at large, the Strzelecki couple murders get 33 years of imprisonment each, 28 years in prison for murder and 10 years for robbery. Almost 5 years after the atrocity, a judge sentenced in the two perpetrators in the Windhoek High Court and approves a reduced in sentence for them. Now, sites now more important than HUAB, reports the Allgemeine Zeitung's page 3. HUAB is not a priority at the moment. The site's application for rhino trophy hunting now seems more important. Now, the mining project in the HUAB sanctuary threatens a breeding area favored by the rhinos. Protest letters from stakeholders to the Secretary of State have apparently been ignored since 2020, but an environmental compatibility certificate has been placed since February 2021.
We will be taking a look at more of the newspaper review after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and 1up2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
Let's continue with our newspaper review. A boardroom fight between Namibia Institute of Public Administration Executive Director Maria Nangolo and Secretary to Cabinet George Simata has taken a new twist, reports the Namibian. This involves allegations about tenders, illegalities and interference. In a separate report, the Office of the President and 15 ministries have failed to comply with the law by publishing their annual procurement plans almost 7 months into the current financial year. According to papers page 3, the two men convicted of murdering an elderly resident of Swakopmund during a house robbery 5 years ago were both sentenced to an effective prison term of 33 years when their trial came to an end in the Windhoek High Court yesterday. In another story, the Namibian Association of Local Authorities in Namibia is demanding $1 billion Namibian dollars from the Roads Fund Administration for the urban maintenance.
President Hage Geingob yesterday said he will focus on leaving a lasting legacy before his second and final term as head of state comes to an end in 2025. During the visit, the president was briefed on the company's operations, challenges, and the way forward, reports New Era. In another story, the Fisheries Ministry has cautioned the industry against illegal, unregulated, and unreported fishing, as well as fishing within the restricted 200-meter depth zone. Now, according to the papers, page 3.
According to the papers, page 3, as the temperature rises on sunny days, the heat becomes unbearable, and for drenched teachers and learners in the Tinsabas Combined School, but they have also no choice but to continue with lessons in their cramped classroom, over 50 learners. In another story, a $15.2 million Namibian dollars tax refund scam uncovered the Namibian Revenue Agency and revealed that at the end of March this year has now increased to 104 million Namibian dollars. Now we move on to the Market Watch. Africa's biggest renewable power company said it will take years for South Africa's electricity supply woes to ease after the government's bias towards coal led the collapse of wind and solar energy manufacturers. That legacy is being exacerbated by global supply chain issues that are slowing the construction of renewable plants, Chris Antopoulos, the Chief Executive Officer of Amsterdam-based Laleka Power, said in an interview.
The president of Namibia's Seamen and Allied Workers Union says that trade unions representing workers in the fishing industry have been working around the clock to negotiate for better conditions of employment for workers. Stay with NMH at 1 as we head into economic news on the other side of this break with Aina Raisa-Kweyo.
In Business 7, you get news on current economic, financial, and business matters in Namibia. The weekly show features interviews with experts and in-depth analysis of burning issues in a way that caters for ordinary Namibians and business connoisseurs alike. For news-related or advertising queries, please contact B7@synergy.com.na.
In economic news today, the president of Namibia Seamen and Allied Workers Union, Paulus Hango, says that trade unions representing workers in the fishing industry have been working around the clock to negotiate for better conditions of employment for workers. This year alone, we negotiated and signed a number of agreements. Some companies agreed to give between 6 to 8% increment to the employees each year for a period of 2 years, Hango said. He was speaking at the ministerial address by Fisheries Minister Derek Claassen, who spoke to the fishing industry in Falfish Bay. Working conditions, Hango said, listed companies such as Seaweg, Mbingwa Fishing, Sea Flower White, and Nova Nem Limited as some of the fishing companies that concluded 2-year agreements with the unions. Many workers were employed as permanent employees last year, and other employees were employed as from the 1st of November on a permanent basis. Hango added that the employees must be remunerated fairly so that their morale remains high, as high morale ensures employees are motivated enough to come to work every day and deliver to the best of their abilities. Now moving over to our next story. Mozambique flagged off its first shipment of liquefied natural gas exports that could help ease Europe's energy crunch as Russia squeezes supply for Mozambique, one of the world's poorest nations. It marks the end of a decade-long await to monetize one of Africa's largest offshore gas field. President Filipe Nyusi announced the first cargo's departure in a statement on Sunday. The British sponsor arrived in Mozambique's north waters on the 16th of October, about 2 weeks after the Carasul floating LGN vessel operated by NE started producing the super chilled fuel. The production platform has a capacity of 3.4 million tons per year, and a super chilled fuel equal about 1/3 of the UK's LNG imports last year. The first cargo is bound for Europe, Mozambique oil and gas regulators said last month. The International Energy Agency warned in a report that Europe's LNG market are bracing themselves for a winter of unprecedented uncertainty of supply because of sanctions in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and that the complete shutdown of pipelines flows to the European Union can't be ruled out. Now we take a look at our economic indicators. $1 trades for 70 Namibian dollars 27 cents, a 0.2 increase on local currency. The stock prices on the Namibia Stock Exchange remain the same. Local index remained the same, while overall index increased by 0.03%. Gold is valued at $1,763.90, while Brent crude oil is valued at $92.59 per barrel. A Zambian student who was serving a prison sentence in Russia was killed on the front line in Ukraine in nuclear circumstances. This and more stories from the African continent coming right up here on NMH at 1.
AgriMonitor is jou weeklikse landboukundige program wat jou die jongste nuus in die landbouverwante bedryf en onderwerpe wat daaraan gekoppel is, bring. Vir enige advertensie of nuusverwante navraag, kontak agrimonitor@synergy.com.na.
Here are the news from our African continent. A Zambian student who was serving a prison sentence in Russia was killed on the front line in Ukraine in nuclear circumstances. The Zambian foreign minister has told a media briefing in the capital, Lusaka. Lemekani Nyireda, a 23-year-old who was pursuing nuclear engineering at the Moscow Engineering Physics Institute, but in 2020 he was sentenced to 9 years in prison for an unspecified offense. Zambia's Foreign Affairs Minister Stanley Kukobo said yesterday that Nyireda, who was a government-sponsored student, was killed in September, but the Russian authorities had just notified the Zambian government of the death. In the view of this very sad development, the Zambian government has requested the Russian authorities to urgently provide information on the circumstances under which a Zambian citizen serving a prison sentence in Moscow could have been recruited to fight in Ukraine and subsequently lose his life, Master Mukobo said. He said the Zambian embassy in Russia had further established that Master Nyireda's body has since been transported to the Russian southern border town of Rostov in readiness for repatriation to Zambia. The circumstances of Nyireda's release from prison are unknown, but Russia has offered freedom to some prisoners in exchange for them fighting in its war in Ukraine. Now moving on to our next story. Sudan's capital, Darfur State, has declared a state of emergency for 9 months after more than 24 people were killed in a tribal conflict. Tribal leaders and other officials, SUNA agency reported on Monday. Governor Saad Adam Babika, quoted by SUNA, said that state emergency was declared late Sunday night because both sides of the conflict fired live ammunition and the reconciliation Commission that was trying to resolve the conflict. The conflict broke out last week between the Arab tribes of Mesiraya and Auland Rached in villages near Ziligay, the capital central of Darfur in western Sudan. A Masiraya tribe leader said it started with a stolen mob. The fighting, which has left at least 24 people dead according to the SUNA agency, continues despite the state of emergency. Since the coup by armed Chief General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan in October 2021, tribal conflicts have exploded due to the security vacuum created by the coup, according to experts. They have killed more than 800 people this year and displaced more than 265,000, and this is according to the United Nations. Now, in our next story, Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has fired his junior finance minister over corruption allegations made in an upcoming documentary on illegal gold mining. The president has terminated the appointment of Minister of State at the Ministry of Finance, Master Charles Abu Boyan, with immediate effect, he said in a statement. The fallout from the expose by a well-known investigative journalist comes as the government is under pressure over faltering economy and lawmakers push Akufo-Addo to fire Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta. The presidency statement said that Akufo-Addo's decision came after being made aware of the allegations against Boahen in the documentary Galamsey Economy, which is scheduled to be released on Monday. Akufo-Addo also referred the case for the prosecutor for further investigations. Teasers from the expose show Boahen in what the documentary claims are images of him trying to demand a $200,000 from the potential investor to give to vice president to allow them to do business. Galamsey is a local Ghanaian phrase referring to illegal or unregulated small-scale gold mining operations. Before the sacking was announced, Vice President Mohamedou Bawumia on Monday said he was not aware of any meeting in which Boahen used his name to peddle influence and collect money from supposed investors. If what the minister is alleged to have said is accurately captured in the video, then his position as the Minister of State is unattainable, he wrote on Twitter. I will not allow anyone to use my name to engage in corrupt activities, he further said. In international news, Jeff Bezos has pledged to give away the majority of his wealth. Stay with NMH at 1 as Glenora Shipura returns with that story and more.
Africa Good Morning is a current affairs program that brings you the latest from Southern Africa and beyond. News, economics, sport, weather, interviews, and so much more. For any advertising or news-related queries, contact agm at synergy.com.na. Africa Good Morning, bringing Africa to you.
Let's get into our international news. Jeff Bezos has pledged to give away the majority of his wealth. He told CNN he planned to dedicate the bulk of his fortune to fighting the climate crisis and supporting those who could unify humanity. It is the first time he has pledged to give away his fortune. In an interview with his girlfriend, Lauren Sanchez, the Amazon founder told CNN reporter Chloe Mellers that he planned to give away most of his estimated $124 billion fortune. Bezos said he planned to dedicate the bulk of his fortune to fighting the climate crisis and supporting people who could unify humanity, per CNN. He said that the hard part of giving the money away was figuring out how to do it in a levered way, claiming that the couple was currently building the capacity to be able to give away this money. Now, the statement is the first time Bezos has pledged to give away the majority of his wealth. In the past, some have criticized the Amazon founder for not signing the giving pledge, a promise by some of the world's richest people to donate the majority of their wealth to charity. Now, let's get into our second story. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Tuesday called on the group of 20 major economies meeting in Indonesia to step up their leadership and stop Russia's war in his country under a peace plan he has proposed. We will not allow Russia to wait out and build up its forces, he said via a video link to the summit on the Indonesia island of Bali, according to a copy of his speech reviewed by Reuters. Ukrainian forces have been making advances in recent weeks against Russian troops in the east and south, recapturing last week the city of Kherson, the only regional capital Russia had captured since the February invasion. Zelensky on Monday visited Kherson, which has become the biggest prize his troops have recaptured, vowing to press on until Ukraine reclaims control of all of its occupied territory. Zelensky called on the G20 leaders at their summit, including U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping, to adopt a 10-point peace formula and end the war justly and on the basis of the UN Charter and international law. Do stick around for the local sports news right after this break. Let's take a look at our local sports. MTC Nestor Sunshine Tobias Boxing Promotions has announced that boxers involved in their last boxing bonanza held about 2 weeks ago have been paid. This comes after several boxers who fought during the event complained that they had not received the money promised to them. Now, promoter Nestor Sunshine Tobias released a lengthy statement yesterday in which he confirmed that the due amounts have been settled. Now, Tobias added that the boxers opted to leave with their money in cash, and therefore they gave the boxers an option to either wait or fly back to their countries. It is a process that the stable promoters deems normal and standard in the world of boxing. Tobias noted that in some instances, boxers could wait for their proceeds for up to 3 weeks. Cricket Namibia is scheduled to host the Cricket World Cup League 2 Castlelight one-day international series from the 19th to the 26th November against Papua New Guinea and the United States of America at the United Cricket Oval in Olympia. Getting to the back end of CWC League 2 means the Richello Eagles need to finish under the top 3 teams on the log table to easily compete and play in the ODI World Cup qualifier next year. Now, the November Castle Light Series will feature both Namibia and the USA fighting to lead on the log table after the series. Now, the Richello Eagles head coach Peter de Bruin believes playing under home conditions should be an advantage for the Eagles, and the focus points for the series are simple. Fly half Andre van der Berg was named Sportsman of the Year as well as Players Player of the Year at the FNB Wanderers Rugby Club's year-end function for its highly successful 2022 season on Friday night. The club made history by not only winning the Namibia Rugby Union's Premier and Reserve Leagues with its first and second men's teams, but also the inaugural NRU Women's 15s League. Van der Berg had an outstanding season after joining from Northwest University, scoring more than 150 points during their regular season, before contributing another decisive 24 points haul in the final against FNB Unam. Van der Berg was absent at the awards but sent a video message from Madrid in which he expressed his thanks to all his Wanderers teammates who played a role in his selection for the national team's current European tour. Namibia will play a test match against Spain in Madrid later today, with Van der Berg included on the bench for the first time. Wanderers' backline player of the year is right-wing Nandivu Karuombe, who was the leading try scorer in the first team, including 2 in the final against Unam. Do stick around for the international sports section. Let's get right into our international sports. If Argentina reached the World Cup final in Qatar, Lionel Messi could set a new mark for the most ever matches at the global showpiece competition. Messi currently has 19 appearances over 4 World Cups, and along with Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo's 17 appearances, will definitely equal the record for most trips to the finals this year. That current record stands at 5, held by Germany great Lothar Matthäus and Mexico's Rafael Marquez. Matthäus also holds a record for most appearances in matches with 25, having reached 2 deciders in 1986 and 1990, winning the latter. When the Air Senegal plane landed in Doha in the wee hours of Monday morning, airport staff craned their necks to find a certain recognizable face. They did not find Sadio Mane, for he did not join the 90% or so players who converged in Paris for this trip. Just as he was being sought at the airport, Senegal will have to get used to the global press asking questions about the 30-year-old's absence. He remains the Teranga Lions' biggest brand and a symbol of how far they have come as a national team. Back in the day, 2002, if one wants to be precise, it was a very Senegal thing to debut at the World Cup, reach the quarterfinals, and then promptly vanish for the next 16 years. Australia are languishing at a record low world ranking of 9 and suffered their first ever defeat to Italy over the weekend, but forwards coach Dan McKellar says the Wallabies can still win next year's World Cup. Rugby pundits have slammed Australia in the wake of their 28-27 loss to Italy in Florence, with former captain Sterling Matlock calling the results a train wreck and declaring Dave Rennie's side no chance of winning a third World Cup in France. Asked about Matlock's comment, McKellar said he was entitled to his opinion. Do stay with us, for after the break we bring you the highlights.
The Agenda is a weekly national affairs interview program hosted every Sunday by Namibian Sun editor Toyvon Jabela, featuring a panel of high-profile newsmakers, analysts, and experts. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact agenda@synergy.com.na. The Agenda, focused on today's conversation.
Let's get into our highlights from this afternoon's broadcast. A Zambian student who was serving a prison sentence in Russia was killed on the front line in Ukraine in nuclear circumstances, the Zambian foreign minister has told a media briefing in the capital, Lusaka. Now, Jeff Bezos has pledged to give away a majority of his wealth. He told CNN he planned to dedicate the bulk of his fortune to fighting the climate crisis and supporting those who could unify humanity. MTC Nesta Sunshine Tobias boxing promotion has announced that boxers involved in their last boxing bonanza held about 2 weeks ago have been paid.
Those have been your highlights. Remember to tune in every weekday at 1 p.m. to spend your lunch hour with NMH at 1, catching up on the latest news in Namibia, Africa, and the world, ranging from current affairs, economic news, sports, and international headlines. That's it from us in studio, but don't go anywhere because up next is Regional Review.
Good day, viewers, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Regional Review. My name is Desiree Gases, and I am the NMH correspondent for the Central North. Well, viewers, in this episode, I will be diving into the events that took place over the past 5 weeks in Otjowarongo. I'll be touching on entertainment as well as news. But before we do that, stay tuned for the following video.
The storm is coming in, better head for high ground. Water come and wash away the pain. Take it to the streets, take whatever isn't nailed down. You wanna see the change, you better stop praying. You better stop praying for it. There's a man trying to build a wall, he wants to take my friends away.
NMH at 1 brings you news from all across Namibia. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact NMH1 at synergy.com.na. NMH at 1, your lunchtime news companion.
So viewers, moving on into our news segment. First in our news segment, on the 2nd of November, a peaceful demonstration was organized by the employees of the Otjowarongo municipality. These are employees of all divisions and departments, and this took place right outside the municipality, where the shop steward chairman, who is Nathan Kayambo, read out the petition that described the discontent of the employees towards management due to a negotiation in bad faith during a salary and wage negotiation for the financial year of 2020 and 2022. I did have an interview with Mr. Kayambo, and he definitely did go into detail in regards to this demonstration and what they planned on doing and how long they plan on continuing with this demonstration if they didn't hear anything back from management in 14 days. So just stay tuned for that.
As you have seen, we are having the petition in my hand that we wanted to hand over to either one of our officials, can be a CEO or the mayor.
After 14 days, tools down. After 14 days, tools down. After 14 days, tools down.
Okay, colleagues, here is our petition that we were supposed to give to our officials that refused to receive it. They walk away. As we see, the CEO was here, and they just drove off. We, the employees of Otjowarongo municipality, are here to deliver this petition with a maximum discontent and heavy hearts, following series of economic hardship that we had to endure as a result of continuous and deliberate disgrace of our concern and demand for the improvement of our salaries and condition of services by our councillors and the management. The councillors has shown us a disregards to our socio-economic welfare by the negotiating in bad faith during the salary wage negotiation of the financial year 2021-2022 by agreeing in principles to pay us a once-off 14th check, or what we call a 14th check, compensation, and fully and final settlement to our salary demand initially submitted during the same year. And that despite all our efforts to have this matter amicably resolved.
They are not going to come to work today. They are even running away. Yeah? Unpaid leave.
The Ministry of Land, Water and Resettlement recently executed an operation against livestock thieves led by the Namibian police at the resettlement farm Oruchiva close to Okahanya. This comes after an increasing number of livestock was stolen in the area.
We are here at farm Oruchiva, that is just about 40 kilometers out of Okahanja in the Ochodonjupa region. This farm, it's a government farm that we procured through our resettlement program, and currently it is waiting for a resettlement. Now, our neighbors have complained that there are some, livestock theft that has been taking place, and they invited now us to come here on board at the farm with a NAMPOL, so we can see if we find some of the culprits perhaps on the farm. It is very possible that the farm is just used as a transit area so that these thieves perhaps go to other areas, not necessarily based on our farm.
Although we did not find anything, make any arrest, I think it was good to visit the farm and to come and verify the reports that we got from the directive we got from the Office of the Inspector General to execute. So yes, we came to the end. There was nothing. There was no arrest made. I would love to thank you all for your dedication. Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, we are ready. The Namibian Police Force is ready to assist where it is so required for us to be, to render our assistance. Let us give feedback to our principals accordingly and tell them precisely what has transpired. Let us tell them precisely when we are ready to assist where it is so required for us to be, to render our assistance. Let us give feedback to our principals accordingly and tell them precisely what has transpired. Let us tell them precisely when we came here, what is that we found. For them also to know and to rest assured that what is there is fine, although that there are some issues that needs our intervention. The farm owners, thank you very much for the assistance. I will continue encouraging you as the Farmers Association to be more closer to each other. I advise them to say, form up farm neighborhood watch, a neighborhood watch sort of a community amongst the farmers. Then they can speak to one another, put up cameras, put up strategies and measures that will protect their property. And then they can give us information more quicker to say that this is now happening in our farms. Can you please send the police for them to come and arrest these illegal hunters or poachers or whatever they are called? We need really to be one, to join our efforts, then we will be more successful at the end of the day.
A handover ceremony for the bush to feed plant in the Odonai Conservancy took place at Okakarara recently. The Conservancy received bush harvesting equipment including chainsaws, bush cutters, chippers, trailers, as well as a storage facility.
The certification of these community forests. I, as the Minister of Environment, Forest and Tourism, hereby certify that by Government Gazette number 78 28 to 17 of 15 June 2022 declare that the area set in the Gazette as Ozonai Community Forest, a community forest under Section 15 of the Forest Act number 12 of 2001, and that I duly recognize the Community Forest Committee set in that application as a body representing the interests of the person who have the rights over the Ozonai Community Forest. Place signed in Okakrara, 4th November 2022, signed Minister of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. Thank you.
Chill Sessions is an entertainment show that brings you the latest hit, fashion, and entertainment news. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact chill at synergy.com.na. Chill Sessions, bringing art and entertainment to the people.
While viewers, moving into our entertainment segment, we did have the Omake fundraising charity event, which was basically a golden oldies charity event that took place not too long ago. So this event was basically organized and planned and executed by the Omake charity fundraising chairman, who is Eddie Khobeti. Later on, not after this clip, you will see an interview that I had with him where he dives a little bit deeper into the reasons why this event was hosted. But this event was a great event. It was also an event that aimed to bring people together, the youth between the ages of 30 and 50, something that's nice, 90s, golden oldies. That was a really great event. Everybody looked stunning, the ladies and the gentlemen. Everybody came to show out. But you will see from a few clips and a few pictures how stunning everybody looked. But without rambling too much, we will be getting into the interview that I did have with Mr. Eddie Khobeti, who is the chairman for the Omake charity organization. So stay tuned for that.
Good afternoon, my name is Eddie Khobeti. I'm the board chairperson of Omake Charity Organization. It was founded in 2018 by a group of friends that felt that if we join our hands, we'll be able to make more impact in society, especially to help those that are marginalized in our community.
Okay, tell us a bit about the event that you guys hosted this weekend.
Yeah, we hosted a Omake Golden Oldies event. It was actually on the backdrop of a popular demand. We had an Omake cheese and wine earlier this year, and people that are between the ages of 30 to 50 so that there is no entertainment in Otjiwarongo. And it was based on that request, and also for the mere fact that as an organization we wanted to raise funds to really help the marginalized communities in and around Otjiwarongo, but not entirely restricted to Otjiwarongo. It all depends from resources at hand, and we reach out to everyone across the country.
Okay. Would you say that the Golden Oldies event was a success?
Yes.
And why would you say?
Yeah, it was a success. We are still busy trying to just finalize our financial report to see as to what have we put in and how much did we really gain from that, so that we can see as to whether we have reached our goal that we wanted to do in terms of raising funds to support our various initiatives that we have throughout the year.
Okay, what is your goal that you have?
Our ultimate goal as an organization is to set up a stay-in welfare and disability center. We feel that it's all good and well. We can give kids school shoes, blankets, food hampers for the elderly and so on, but it does not really address the root problem of poverty. So it's